least it's morning for me. Happy Saturday. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate you joining me, and I look forward to answering your questions. Hopefully, we'll get a lot of questions about Midnight Suns today. That's kind of the theme I'm hoping to get here. Sorry, I have a kitty on my lap, so I was shifting very gingerly. I don't know if you can see him. He's getting up now. Hey, Ray, you want to say good morning to everybody? It's okay, buddy. It's okay. Yeah, so if you want to go ahead and post questions, you can do that anytime. Maybe what I'll do while I wait for questions is to kick things off. I thought I would just talk about the trip itself that I took when I went to Firaxis Studios. There was some kind of fun drama involved in that. So I was flying from Southern California to Baltimore, Maryland. And if you're not from the US, that's all the way across the country. I had to get up around 4 in the morning to start that trip. And I get to the airport, and this is where me just being kind of a dunce comes in. I ended up, by the way, I haven't seen anything in chat yet. So if somebody can at least post that you're hearing me okay and all that, I would appreciate it. Oh, let me do this. I forgot to start the video portion. So anyway, I get to the airport and I didn't have to check in any luggage or anything, so I didn't get there hugely early. And I parked my car on the roof of one of their garages. I go all the way down to the first floor, and I realize that I left my sunglasses and my reading glasses up in the car. So I go back up, which takes a while, get my stuff, come back down. I'm almost all the way to the terminal. And then I see a lady walking past me, and she has on a mask. And that makes me realize that the night before I had looked up the mask requirements, and it said to get into LAX, you had to be wearing a cloth mask. So I didn't have one on me. It was back in the car. So this time I'm literally running up the flights of stairs to get my mask, come back down. Now I'm seriously starting to run late here. And I get to the airport, and by the way, you didn't need a mask. Like maybe 20% of the people are wearing one. Even most of the security guards and stuff aren't wearing a mask. So that was for nothing. I was so late at this point that after I got through security and I was on my way to the gate for boarding, they literally were paging me. And so I was the last person to board the flight. And then likewise, we landed in Chicago, which is one of the busiest airports in the world. I had a changeover because direct flights between here and Baltimore are almost non-existent. And so I literally had to get off my plane and walk straight there. I had about 30 seconds to spare before they started boarding. And then I get, to Baltimore, and they're, take a shuttle to the hotel, all that stuff. And talk about a hectic day. So there was a 7-Eleven across the street. I just went around the corner to get some food real quick. As I'm finishing eating, I checked my phone, and I had gotten a text from my contact at 2K who invited me in the first place. And he's like, oh, hey, we're getting ready to leave for dinner. Be in the lobby at 6:30 if you want to go. And I look at my watch, and it's 6:25. So even though I had just eaten, I had promised myself that I would take any opportunities I had to kind of meet people and socialize, partly because that's just the kind of thing I never do. I'm such an introvert by nature. And I know that may sound weird for somebody with a YouTube channel, but anyway, so I'm like, okay, screw it, I'll go. So anyway, I had a nice time. I'm glad I went. I met a guy, his name was Rick from Fextra Life. he was really interesting. Very, like, you could tell, very a guy who thinks things through, very intelligent. And I met Jake Solomon briefly at that dinner. Literally met him. Didn't have any conversation whatsoever. He was already at a table with a bunch of other people. So it was just like, hey, this is Jake. And I was like, hey, great to meet you. And that was the end of our interaction. But it was cool to see him in person and, you know, all that. But so anyway, that night I started at 4 a.m. I get back to the hotel like 10 o'clock. And then slept like crap because the air conditioning unit was really loud in my room. Had a 12-hour day. The next day, if you want to hear about the actual event, I'll be happy to talk about it. I'm just trying to keep this story at a reasonable length. So they had, let's see, it started at 9, and then there's the event the next day where we played, and we got back to the room around 6, and then again there was a dinner, and that went for hours again. And then I had to get up early the next morning, woke up with a splitting headache and severe nausea. I think I had some kind of stomach bug or food poisoning. So I couldn't even keep down water. It was so bad. When we were taxiing onto the runway to take off, I was hurling into a plastic bag I brought with me for that very, contingency. And I felt so bad for the couple who was sitting next to me, because seriously, who wants to be sitting next to that? But they were super nice, actually. Anyway, so I had a rough trip. It was crazy. All right, so I'll shut up about all that for a minute to answer a couple of the questions I see on the screen. Ray is on the desk. He was on my lap when I started recording, and then he got up and he is settled on the desk. So you may get a chance to see him again later. I don't know. Yeah, the t-shirt is pretty appropriate for the topic. I bought this last year, and it's a Marvel Superheroes t-shirt. That's why I picked it out. But let me see. What else do we have? Oh, Bulletproof Blast. That's awesome. She had a crazy mission where all 3 pods were in the same place, but finished flawless thanks to what she learned from me. Thank you. But you did it. That's the key. You're the one who beat that mission. Is the game out yet? No, it's not. I wish it was. Honestly, my biggest disappointment, my biggest frustration after I spent 4 hours with that game, I want to keep playing. I want to see the rest of it so bad. I know a lot of people aren't interested in it. That is what it is. But I really fell in love with this game pretty much from as soon as I started playing it. And the more I played it, the more I wanted to play it. So, yeah, holy crap. It's not out yet. We have to wait until October 7th. So it is what it is. Yeah, Crag Smash. You see, yeah, we want to hear about everything. Such a unique opportunity most of us won't ever have. That's kind of how I felt. Listen, I've never been on one of these before. I've gotten early game code so that I could do a video about something. I've never been on one of these trips before. I've never met anyone. In my life, I've never met another person who had a YouTube channel. I've never really had a conversation, even like with the PR people at one of these companies or anything. So it was really interesting for me to go and get a chance, like, to meet. There was a streamer, and I wasn't familiar with him because I don't really watch Twitch ever. But his name was JB, and I think he has a pretty big channel on Twitch. Fextra Life, I got more familiar with when Elden Ring came out, and I played a fair amount of Elden Ring off camera, and I was using their wiki a lot. And I watched at least a couple of their videos, and my impression is they do really high quality stuff. So it was great to talk to somebody, from there. And then I got to meet Christopherodd, which was pretty fantastic, actually. And I'd be happy to talk about that if anybody is interested in hearing it. And then just a number of people who work like at different, news outlets and stuff like that. There was a guy named Marcus from Game Informer, and just a bunch of different people who, unfortunately, many of them I don't remember their names or like which specific outlet they worked at, because when you meet a lot of people, in one day, I at least am not good always remembering them. But anyway, no, that's one reason I thought, if there's a dinner, I'm going to go. If there's any opportunity for me to do this, even though I don't normally mix with people and stuff like that, I'm going to go, and I'm really going to do my best not to be the wallflower, because I don't get chances to do this. So I was very appreciative of that. So Content Express is the con flu. I honestly don't know what it was. Was it a bug? Was it food poisoning? I don't know. Here's Ray. Okay. So let's see. Did they mention anything about outfits changing the animation for card attacks or how the skills work? So no, we didn't really get into it. They gave us let's talk a little bit about what I got a chance to do and what I didn't get a chance to do. Before we played, there was a roughly 45-minute presentation where they talked a little bit about, some of the thought processes when they were developing the game and coming up with the story ideas. You can tell they feel a little burned because they came up with this whole thing of exploring the magic side of the Marvel Universe and using the Darkhold to move the story forward and a lot of this stuff. And they did this 4 or 5 years ago. And then right before they hold this event, Doctor Strange 2 comes out. And a lot of the stuff that they were doing in the game is in there in at least very loosely, there's some similarities. And so they were purposely trying to find kind of an area of the Marvel Universe that doesn't get a lot of mainstream media attention. And I do kind of feel bad for them that some of their thunder was stolen in a way. But the flip side is that you can also say, well, it helped give visibility to some of these concepts. So who knows? Maybe it'll increase the prospects for the game. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, that's for them to figure out, not me. But anyway, so we had a 45-minute presentation, but that's a lot of ground to cover and only 45 minutes, so they didn't talk about stuff like that. They didn't talk about the skins at all. They didn't talk about the DLC, like, how now we've seen they've released these different versions of the game you can get where you get more skins and stuff. They didn't talk about that. So I don't know what the pricing will be if you buy the skins individually. But anyway, so no, there's nothing specific like that that I know about the animations and all that. Like, one thing I'm really curious about, one of the skins I saw on the list is you can turn, apparently, Captain Marvel into Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, who is a man. Like, it's not just a different costume for Carol, gender swapping and everything. Now, Marvel also had a very different look to his powers. When he flew, he left behind what they used to call a photon trail, which was a really cool looking effect in the comic. I would love to know if you have the Marvel skin, like, does it look like him? Is he wearing the nega bands that he has in the comics? Do you see the photon trail? All that stuff. Because if you do, I can tell you, like, that's one skin I'll probably buy almost no matter what. Although there are very few of them that I'm interested in. Most of the skins, I just don't care. So, I don't intend to buy them. But anyway, that's probably a lot more than you needed here. So after the presentation for 45 minutes, then we got 4 hours of gameplay in the afternoon. So most of what I know about the game comes from those 4 hours. And the funny thing is, I know some of the other people, like the guy from Fextra Life and stuff, they told me that it's very rare you get as long as 4 hours. Like a lot of times it's like 30 minutes or an hour or something like that. But what's funny is how little of the game I feel like I saw in those 4 hours. From what we were told, this is like a 60-hour-ish game. I have a feeling when I play it, it'll be longer than that because I really want to explore everything. I want to explore the grounds as thoroughly as I can. I want to do all the conversations I can. And so I have a feeling that to kind of 100% it, or as close as I'm capable of, it'll be more than 60 hours. So when you play for 4, honestly, I still felt like I was kind of in the tutorial realm in a lot of ways. So anyway, I don't know anything about the animations and stuff. I would like to know, but I can't really tell you that. All right, let me find the next question. Okay, how long the game is. So it's about 60 hours, give or take. That's what they tell me. Oh, what makes me say a lot of people may not be interested? Because I just see the reaction to my videos for starters, like the views that they get or don't get, but also the comment sections. Some people are very positive about it. There's definitely people who are pissed that there's cards and that's all they need to know. There's people who are pissed that it's not XCOM 3 and that's all they need to know. And then there just seems to be nowhere near as much interest as I see for some games that come out. And I could be wrong. I may be kind of misreading the room. I hope I am, because listen, my intent is I'm playing it. I'm playing it for the channel. I want to do at least one full playthrough. They think this game is really replayable. I don't know if that's true or not, but I can tell you when Jake Solomon is the one who was doing the presentation for the most part, he's of the opinion this game is like every bit as replayable as XCOM. I don't know. Again, I don't have an opinion on that. But what I was going to say is, so one reason he thinks that is because like in each game, you can only make friends, like the deepest level of friendship, with 3 or 4 characters. And so you're only unlocking the combos and stuff with those guys. But if you want to see how the others play, then you need to play again. And then there's this light versus shadow, which is another whole mechanism we don't know a lot about yet. But certain dialogue options are light and some are shadow, and some powers that you can have are light versus shadow. So this is kind of like the Paragon system in Mass Effect, but I don't know the extent to which, it's going to come into play. It just barely starts in the 4 hours, that I had. So anyway, how replayable is the game? I don't know. I think I'm going down a rabbit hole though, because the question was about why do I think people are or are not interested, and I think I've already covered that. So I'll stop talking. Okay, so Captain Pangolin says, I was already mildly interested in the game before, but with your video, I'm now hyped. Yeah, listen, my goal was I really wanted to try to convey what it's like to play. And my hope was if this looks good, you'll be hyped. If it just looks like something you wouldn't be interested in, I still provided something of value to you, because I know that some people who watch it, they're not into it, and fair enough. Yeah, Casper asks or says he hopes there are many, many characters to play with. And I will caution you, there isn't. Like, there are characters, but there's like, is it 12 or 13 and then the hunter on top of that? That's it. That's the roster. Now they're talking about a battle pass and stuff. I don't know what that's going to mean. I don't know if I believe they'll add more characters, but I don't see how they can do that with the campaign. Just based on what I've already seen, there's going to have to be a different mode or something new that they add so that you can play with a variety of characters. How well known am I among creators, publishers, developers of XCOM? Am I infamous? Well, I don't think I'm known at all, to be honest. Um, I mean, I know the PR guy found me when he was looking for people to invite, but I don't think the developers know or care who I am, to be brutally honest. How many cards will each character have? So I don't know the answer to all of them, Brendan, excuse me. But he mentioned, I believe, that the hunter alone will have 40 or more than 40. I forget which way he said it. Now, you don't necessarily want a deck with 40 separate abilities, you know, so you're going to be picking and choosing from that. But that gives you an idea, I guess, of kind of the universe you can choose from. One thing he did say, and again, I didn't get far enough to see how this played out, but he was saying, like, you can decide what kind of Captain America you want. Now, he doesn't mean your Captain America can shoot lasers out of his butt or something like that, but I do believe, you know, you can kind of choose a role to lean into. So, like for Captain America, he's not in the game at all. In the part that I played, he hadn't been introduced yet. Neither had Wolverine. But like, let's just use him as a hypothetical. So my guess is they'll have abilities where it's all about the shield or protecting him or protecting other people. And then they'll have abilities where they're more offensive. And you can kind of choose how you want to lean into that. That would be my supposition. Mystery Meat asks, what developer would I like to visit next, given the opportunity? Wow, I don't know, because I never really thought about visiting anybody before this. I mean, Firaxis was probably, would have, if I had ever thought about it, Firaxis probably would have been number one on my list because I don't think it's any secret that I love the two XCOM games they made. And I also really loved Civ V. By the way, I wouldn't really even say I met him, but I did get to see Sid Meier for about 5 seconds. He came out of his office and literally just kind of said hello to our group. That was very cool. I have so much respect for him as a game designer. So that was a real highlight as well. But yeah, where else would I want to go? I don't really have, you know, I don't really have a target. I may think of one later. Okay, you know what? I guess I'll say this. I really have a ton of respect for FromSoft. I don't love or even want to play every single game that they make, but that would probably be really cool. I would have to go to Japan, which would be a much more grueling trip than going to Maryland. By the way, I missed it at first, but thank you very much, Bulletproof Blouse. I appreciate the donation. It's very kind of you. Okay, what else do we have? Some of it is just comments, so I am reading them, but let's see. I still remember how sad, furious I was that Angry Joe got a key to play XCOM 2 and not Tapcat. What is Intel, said Angry Joe. I mean, you know, I get what you're saying, but all I can say is this: like a poor performing video for Joe is going to get more than virtually anything I publish. And so, if you're a publisher, it's not about lifting up small channels or who deserves it or who doesn't. They're just trying to promote their game, you know? That's it. So I can't really blame them. I remember somebody mentioning that at the time, and I understood it then, but I don't know. I mean, it's just like saying, you know, oh, that guy from IGN doesn't know it. Yeah, but they're IGN. I mean, God, my God, their video, as soon as it came out, it had just a crap ton of views, and I think it's still going strong. So, you know, that's what it's all about. But listen, I appreciate the sentiment. Casper says, hoping Beta Ray Bill Thor costume for Thor. You know, that would be a good one, and I don't think it's on their list. I'll tell you what you can do. Go to the Steam pre-order page, or even their website probably has this, and they'll show you the different versions. And if you look at the most expensive one, I think it's like $100, but it lists every skin. Now, I'll be honest, I don't even know all of them. Like, it's so funny. I've read, I don't know how many thousands of Marvel comics over the years, but certainly not all, and not especially from the last several years. But they list them. They don't show you what they look like, which is kind of a bummer. But I don't even recognize a lot of them, you know, from what they say. They mention the symbiote Spider-Man costume. That one stuck out for me because I assume they mean his black costume. But a lot of them, I'm like, I don't even know what this is, so I certainly don't care about it. But yeah, you can look it up. Hoping the game will allow me to realize my dream of an all-hero in Phase 4. Well, you might. There's a lot of female characters in this. You have Magic, Captain Marvel, oh my God, Nico, Minoru, Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, she should be in there at some point. She wasn't playable, and I know she gets corrupted, but I think you get to flip her back. I'm not really sure how all that's going to play out. I'm forgetting a crap ton of characters in my rush to say stuff, but I'm pretty sure you can easily have squads that are all female. Some of the story missions, you are locked into bringing certain characters. But if you make your hunter female, and then you kind of focus on cultivating your friendships with more of the female characters, I don't see any reason, you know, maybe not every single mission, but a lot of missions, you could have an all-female team. Oh, I see Casper's leaving. Well, thank you for coming, if you're still here, to hear that. Let's see. You think the Captain Pangolin says, I think the marketing was very light on the game. I didn't see much advertisement about it, so that may explain the low hype. Yeah, I think they're still 4 months out, and that's part of it. And Firaxis usually does this, where they announce a game, they feed you from some information, then they go quiet, and then when they get closer to launch, they do some more. So they'll ramp up as they get closer to launch. This was obviously one salvo. They invited a bunch of people. So yeah, let me talk about that a little bit too. The group, when I was there were roughly a dozen or so people in our group. So I didn't know really any of them other than Chris. He's the only one. And by the way, so let me just tell you, this is such a funny story. I was sitting in basically the front row, or second from the front, and guy sits down across the aisle from me, and he's kind of putting his stuff together, and he glances over and he realizes he doesn't know me, and he's like, oh, hey, I'm Chris. And that's all he says. Nobody goes around, you know, like spouting off their YouTube name or what outlet they work for. So anyway, I was like, oh, hey, and I introduced myself the same way. And then as we were waiting for the play to start, I hear him talking to various people, and I'm like, wait a second, I know that voice. So it was just so funny to realize it was him. And then later, at the end of the day, there was a conversation about exchanging footage and stuff. And so I had asked him if he would be interested, because I had done every conversation I could possibly do. and he had started skipping through some of that stuff to focus on the combat, and he had gotten a little farther than I did. So I said, hey, if you want to, we can swap footage. So anyway, when we started exchanging like Twitter handles and stuff so we could do that, when he saw Tapcat, then it was his turn. He kind of cocks his head. He's like, oh, I know you. So it was just a fun little thing the way that played out. Also, by the way, another just really bizarre coincidence. They had booked us. He was literally in the room next door to mine at the hotel. So that was really funny. But also, I'll say this, not that anybody asked me about it, but he was great. I got to spend a little time talking with him, you know, at dinner and stuff. And it was just such a treat to talk to another person who has a YouTube channel and even kind of in the same space, you know, that I occupy with XCOM and stuff. He shared a couple of mods. Like he asked me if I usually play with mods, and he's like, oh, you know, here's a couple you have to try in your next campaign and stuff. And as nice as he seems on the videos and all that, honestly, like he's even more that way in person. It was just a real treat to get to talk to him a little bit and meet him. So I definitely want to, you know, put that out there. So Ultra the Gunna asks, will the friendship level carry on to New Game Plus? I believe that it does. I know I did hear one of the guys who had an interview with Jake, a one-on-one interview. He asked about New Game Plus, and I believe they confirmed to him that there is one. And so you will be bringing that character forward. I believe you'll have all your cards. I believe you'll have all your relationships. Now, I have to say, kind of take that with a grain of salt, because I'm hearing it from someone, they're talking from memory, and now it's been like 2 weeks and I'm talking from memory. So I think you'll be able to, but you know, wait and see. Yeah, Scott Graziano says, I don't think I would replay a whole game just to unlock a new combo, to be honest. And yeah, so that's why I kind of kept stressing, you know, he thinks it's replayable. I don't have an opinion on it. So the two things, I think, one, what are you really getting in the way of new material if you take friendships with new people to a higher level? Part of it is like new cutscenes and dialogue and stuff, but how much of that is there and how meaningful is that? You do get new combos and powers and stuff. So, okay, that's a thing. The other thing that might or might not add to replayability, although this would only be one more replay as far as I can see, is this whole shadow versus light thing. And if you did one where you leaned heavy into shadow and then the next time you said, I'm going to go the other way with it. But it's a long game. And so is that stuff enough to keep you coming back? I don't know, you know. And I guess the other thing is, what about if there is a battle pass, if you can do other stuff, you know, what does all this mean? We will have to wait and see. Hey Ray, welcome back. Okay, so yeah, right. Ultra the Gunna says maybe it'll be like XCOM where you have to replay the campaign to play the DLC. Maybe. Really hard to know. Who was my favorite hero to use? This is really hard because for the most part, I only got like 2 missions or so for any one character. I liked Blade, and I think Blade will be especially good against bosses and enemies with a lot of health because bleed is one of his specialties. And when you have that big health pool, getting like those free ticks of extra damage, at least the one time I got to use him in that situation, it was really good. So Blade was good. I only got 1 or 2 fights with Spider-Man, but partly just because I freaking love Spider-Man, and I tried to talk about this in my video, but I just don't know if I can ever do it justice. The animations in this game, I loved it so much. It brought the heroes alive to me in a really significant way. So watching Spider-Man do the flips and uses webbing to pull himself, into the enemies and like kick them and stuff. It was just fantastic. And I loved kind of being at the controls of that. I know it's not in the way of like Arkham Asylum or something like that you control it. But I really adored that. So it's probably influenced by just my love of Spider-Man in general, but I really enjoyed him as well. I I want more time with almost all of them. Like I also really liked Iron Man, and you got him in like an early tutorial, and then I'm not sure I ever got to play with him again. So I really wanted to play with him more. So it's hard for me to answer it, too thoroughly because there were just so little chance. Even in 4 freaking hours, um, I wanted more time with any one hero. Any idea if there will be an end game similar to Gears Tactics where you can keep doing more difficult missions? I don't know that, but I will be absolutely shocked. It may not be there at launch, but I totally believe that some kind of different mode will come where you can take heroes of your choice on missions. I just I will be really surprised if you don't see that. Let's give them some time. Let's say within a year of launch. What are my thoughts about an XCOM game with cards? I don't know. I'm open. Listen, honestly, I don't know if you watched my combat video. One of the things that he talked about was that in XCOM, the random factor comes from your abilities can succeed or fail. But in this, the random factor comes from what abilities you'll have access to on any given turn. Now, he felt pretty strongly that this is a more appropriate puzzle for the Marvel universe because your abilities, as a general rule, should succeed. And in XCOM, where you're kind of an underpowered human against these aliens, the other is true. I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, whether something seems like it would be a good idea to me or not, I'm willing to see what somebody comes up with and go from there. Oh, Bulletproof Blouse wants to get me in trouble and asks, I've heard people saying Civ V is better than Civ 6. What are your thoughts on this? Okay. I don't like to use the word better because, it's like saying, well, my opinion's the only one that's true. There's people who like Civ 6 better. There's people who like Civ 5 better. If you ask me which group I fall into, it's Civilization 5 by far. I have over 1,000 hours into Civ 5. I don't know how many series I have on the channel. I mean, I really love that game. And then I can't remember. I think it was my 3rd season of XCOM 2 I had finished. And I thought that would be the last one, maybe forever, because Civ 6 was coming out. And, I had loved 5 so much. I was like, yeah, I mean, this is going to be the new backbone of my channel for the foreseeable future. I'll play, multiple different Civs and have a great time. And I mean, I didn't make it halfway through that campaign, and I knew like this game is not for me. But I had to finish, I mean, I'm not going to start a campaign and then just bail if I can possibly help it. But I finished that campaign. I uninstalled it from my machine, and I have never looked back. Okay, John L. asked a good question. Is there any downside to characters dying or getting hurt? Hey, Ray, you going to go back up? Like in XCOM, tired or deceased. So, John, I can answer that in part. If you have a character who gets taken to 0 health, they can be revived in that mission. You're allowed on normal difficulty 2 revivals. On higher difficulty levels, you only get one. And I don't mean 2 per character. I mean 2 total for the whole thing. If you lose somebody again after that, so they're dead, you fail the mission and you have to replay the mission. So that's the only way you can continue. Now, the part I'm less clear on, my impression when I was playing was that there is no penalty for getting beat up. That the next mission comes and you can just go bring whoever you want on it. But one of the other guys said that's not true, that you are wounded and you need some recovery time. So I honestly don't know. I can't, of course, by the time I heard that, I had finished playing. So I couldn't poke around, you know, in the screens and try to figure out whether what they said was true or not true. So yeah, I have to reserve judgment on that part. Okay, no, they did. Esteban Vidal asks, did they say anything on when to expect any future news or announcements on the game? And the answer is no, not to me. So, you know. Kid Caliber, no need to be sorry you're late. I'm glad you're here. Listen, very, very few people start at the beginning of one of these streams and stays the whole time. People kind of come and go throughout. Okay, so let me find another one. Let's see. Yeah, Kyle Wardell says looking forward for the new kind of RNG. Look forward to testing out the card system. Never played a Marvel game with cards. Ironically, I have. There's a tabletop game called Marvel Legendary, and I really like it a lot. I've bought quite a few expansions for it over the years. And it's a very simple deck builder. It is even a deck builder. So I can't really compare it to this game because this game has so much more going on than the deck building. It's crazy. But yeah, listen, I just would say, as somebody who has played a fair amount of deck builders on tabletop, more so than I have in the computer, the idea that any deck builder is like for 5-year-olds and you can't have good play or something, which seems to be what some people are saying, I don't agree. Let me just say that. I have thoroughly enjoyed a number of deck builders, and I think like any other mechanism that can be put in a game, it can be executed well or poorly, as every other mechanism can be. Okay, Kid Caliber asks, so you can create your own new hero in this game? Yes, up to a point. So you create your version of the hunter, but I don't want to oversell. They do make a big deal about this is the first customizable character for the Marvel Universe in video games. You can customize your appearance, but it's all kind of based on elements they give you. It's not like, let's say in Elden Ring, where there's all kinds of sliders and stuff, and you can really fine tune how your guy looks. This is more, do you want this hairstyle or that hairstyle? Do you want this face or that face? And there's like 4 faces to choose from. You can choose, you know, male, female. And then for the powers, obviously you can pick, but the hunter is going to be a sword wielding kind of acrobatic hero. Like you don't get to decide, oh, you know what would be really cool? I want her to be like a tanky, you know, Hulk type character. No, that's not who they are. So kinda. Okay, Louise Moratelli made a really good point, and this is something I haven't talked about in any of my videos or anything, so I want to cover this. He says he hopes for a good variety of locations since the game seems to be arena places, and you are correct about that. So in the small time, you know, I saw like warehouses, rooftops, and stuff like that. They also at one point teleported me to this kind of supernatural realm for I don't even know what to call it, but it was this weird solo thing with the hunter and the dog, the hellhound. And then they told us, so the first part of the game you fight in New York, so it'll be different locations around New York. And I think you'll have kind of the standard maps, and then you'll have like some missions or a mission at Avengers Tower at some point and things like that. Then you go to the southwestern US, like out in the desert, and the enemies change from being mostly Hydra to demon types. And then I'm trying to remember what he said the third one was. I tell you what, give me one quick second. I'm going to try to find it in my notes. This will not be good viewing, so I won't do this for long. Yeah, okay. I was not going to remember this, so I'm glad I looked it up. The third region they called Transia, and it's inspired by Transylvania. So it'll be wilderness, town outskirts, and then enemies with a more occult origin. I take this to mean stuff like vampires and werewolves and stuff. I'm very curious to see what that's like. But you're talking very deep in the game. So I don't know. Like, I do think you're going to have a lot of missions in New York, and you may reach a point early in the game where you go, Jesus, you know, it'd be nice to find something that's not just in New York and Hydra goons. But be patient because there is more coming. Okay, so Esteban Vidal says something interesting. He says the animations and effects seem good, but some faces like Doctor Strange or Tony Stark seem a little bland and not too detailed. So I noticed that about Tony Stark, that, I mean, his character model is fine. There's nothing about it that I think is bad or anything, but his face is like really smooth. And you're right, there's not a lot of detail. Now, for me, I didn't get that same vibe from Doctor Strange. I thought he was spot on. So that's interesting. You have that perception on him. I don't know if they'll change or not. I will just say it is still months away from release. So I don't want to go too hard on criticizing stuff like that, because that may be on their punch list of things that they want to do. Like, one thing I'm pretty positive they're going to upgrade or fill in. One of the activities you can do with the heroes that has a couple of benefits is sparring. So I went to spar with Ghost Rider, and like there's this kind of setup screen where you're standing on one side and he's standing over here. And then when you click the button to start sparring, it just literally comes up with a message that's like, sparring complete. And I thought I did something wrong at first. And then I was talking to Chris or somebody else later, and I realized they had the same experience. And so I was like, oh, okay, I guess. And I think what it is they just haven't made that piece of the game yet. So they gave us a build where, you know, you could play, but it's not quite done, which makes sense because they're still months away from shipping. So yeah, I agree with you that you could definitely look at some of the graphics and say, it's not that it's terrible or anything, but you know, that's not as detailed as it could be. We'll have to see. Will that advance before launch or not? Yeah, Matthew, that's totally fair. You'll reserve judgment, wait until after launch. It's totally cool. Listen, I don't think pre-ordering is smart as a general rule. I think waiting for reviews, watching some Let's Play time and stuff, and really trying to get a feel for what this thing is like, I just think that's smart. It's your money. Don't spend it on something you're not going to like. Will be awesome if you can lose heroes and they become fallen until you save. I think that's going to happen with one character. I kind of referenced that earlier. Okay. Thank you, Derek O'Neill. I appreciate that. And I recognize you from the comments, so I know you're a regular viewer and I appreciate it. It would be cool if we had the Ultra the Gunna makes a really fun point. He says it would be cool if we had the whole team on the field for the final battle. That would be cool. I don't know how practical it is. Man, you would need a big battlefield and your turns would be really long. Oh, you know what else that would break? Because you're only getting like 6 or 7 cards a turn. So you literally wouldn't even have an ability for each guy. They would have to really open that up. It would be crazy, but I kind of love the idea. If they could make it work. Have I tried any roguelites with cards? There's a lot of deck builders these days like Slay the Spire. Yes, I have. I tried Slay the Spire. Somebody in the comments was telling me this sounds just like Slay the Spire, just, you know, without, except for the 3D and this and that. And it's like, well, yeah, if you strip out everything that makes this game, and just take it down to deck building, it's like Slay the Spire. On the other hand, if you actually take into account the game, it's not Slay the Spire. So I played Slay the Spire for about 3.5 hours. That was it for me. Uninstall, never look at it again. I played Roguebook, which is another roguelite, which I personally liked. Well, it's a semi-roguelite. Yeah, it's more of a roguelite than a roguelike. I liked that one way more. Oh my God, what's it? I've forgotten the name now. Is it Roguebook? What did I call it? I can't remember. See, now roguelite is stuck in my head. Anyway, I really liked the game. It was designed in part by the creator, Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic the Gathering and a number of other great tabletop games. I liked that one, and I did a couple videos on the channel, and unfortunately it became clear to me really quickly there wasn't a lot of interest from people in watching it. So I stopped, but I played a little bit more off camera. I will say, I'm not really a big roguelike guy. I'm much more interested in something where I get to build and move forward. What do I feel about the arena style? Do you feel locked, or isn't a problem? I didn't feel like it was a problem at all, Louise. Like, listen, one of the things I liked about Chimera Squad, and I know that was another game that I really enjoyed that people generally sort of didn't care about. I liked that you went into a room and that was the encounter. I did. I'm not saying I want every XCOM game to be that forever, but I enjoyed it. I really did. And I enjoyed this the same way. Like, there are reinforcements that come in, so it's not like these are the only guys I'll ever have to worry about. But no, it didn't bother me at all. I was just into solving the puzzle and enjoying using the heroes. Will I try ice? Sorry, I'm struggling to pronounce it. Ice Wallow come. Will you try Old World for the channel? This game is like Civ, but way better. So it's so funny that you asked me that today, because this morning I discovered that, I want to say I was on Twitter, and I saw somebody post about it. I never heard of it before. I immediately went into Steam and threw it on my wish list as a reminder to check it out later. I haven't really enjoyed a Civilization type game since Civ V. So I don't know if I will play it for the channel, but I will try it. I am actively trying new games right now. Let me talk about that really briefly. I have played recently that 40K game. What's it called? Demon Hunters Chaos Gate. It has the longest name in the history of the world, practically. I put about 12 hours into it, and it's so weird. I don't like it. The whole time I'm playing, somehow my mind just, it's like every instinct I have takes me in the opposite direction of what I should be doing in that game, seemingly. But the funny thing is, then I stop playing, and I'm like, I kind of want to play it again. I kind of want to try it again. Maybe I'll like it more if I play it again. So I don't know if I'm actually going to play it again. I don't see myself getting through a whole campaign. I also tried King Arthur, A Knight's Tale. That one I don't have any mixed feelings about. It's not my thing. I can see why people like it, but there's something about it. It just does not particularly grab me. Thank you, Juan, for the kind words. I appreciate it. Okay, Matt asked a really good question. How can you adjust your hunter's powers as you progress? This was something I was actually going to do a video for, and I may still, but it's all part of the deck building. So let me just talk briefly about how the deck building works. You go on these missions, you get experience, and you also get rewards. Now, God, I have to try to remember all this in my head. And if you've ever watched my Let's Plays, you know my memory is not always good. But let's just say you earn resources in the game. And then when you get back to the Abbey, your headquarters, you can use those resources and on a multiple of different things, but one of them is to make new cards. So you'll typically, at least for the time I saw, you get offered 3 options. So they'll show you 3 cards, you can take one. And it's not necessarily for the hunter. Like, you know, you could get one for Blade and one for the hunter and whatever. So you pick what you want. So that's one way you can get new cards and kind of customize by choosing which one to take. The other thing you can do, once you have 2 of a particular card, you can combine those and upgrade it. So like, for example, I had one, I believe it had knockback. It was just a basic attack with knockback. And so I got 2 of them, and I turned the 2 into one that also had the ability of quick, which means if you KO somebody, that doesn't count as one of your card plays for the turn. Quick is a really good ability. If you've ever played anything like Magic or any deck builder, getting extra draws is a big deal. Getting extra plays is a big deal in pretty much any of them. So that's just like a really crude look at it. I can't go too deep because in the time I played, I think I only bought like 3 cards, maybe. Again, I was very early. Derek O'Neill raises a point that I am also, he says he's curious about the modding scene with this game. I am too. And they didn't talk about modding support at all. So I don't know what you'll be able to do, but I have high hopes that assuming it's allowed, and I would think it would be, Firaxis is usually pretty good about that. Or at least with XCOM 2, they really lean into it. So hopefully we'll get some good mods. Okay, Ultra the Gunna. He says, now I'm aware of the game being in an early stage, but how many bugs did you encounter during your time playing? This was something that I was very interested in myself before going. Honest answer, 0. No bugs the whole time I played. And if anyone else had a bug, they didn't say anything when I was around to hear it. So this is Firaxis. They do have a history. But knock on wood, it seems like this one may be the most solid thing they've ever shipped. I hope so. I really hope so. Okay, now he now mentions in his next one, he's worried about long loading times and bugs on PS4. Yeah, listen, it could happen. I don't know. PS4 is a different beast. And I'm sure I was playing, like, I don't know the specs of the rig I was playing on. Obviously, this was all provided by them. I'm sure it was a very, very strong computer. They did not want us to sit there feeling like this game was wheezing and, you know, struggling. Kyle Wardle says Blade looks incredible. It gives me flashbacks of the awesome movies. I really liked Blade. I thought he was so cool. And there was this one animation. I can't remember the power. It was something like stake 'em or something like that. And he kind of goes flying through the air, and there's this big kind of red background. I was like, woo, daddy. I'm telling you, the animations in this game, if you like these characters, man, it's cool. I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. I just adored that. Yeah, one shot, one kill. You're right. I didn't really. I had very little time to adjust. I think I did give her one upgraded card, maybe two. But I certainly did not come away from it with like, wow, you know, I made my own hunter. Not even remotely close. Yeah, Hal Tuberman says XCOM 3 could be a mix of Chimera Squad rooms and map exploration. I think that's ideal. I agree with you. I would love that kind of mix, you know? This game obviously is not going to be that, and Chimera Squad obviously was not that. And then, of course, XCOM 2 wasn't in the opposite direction. It was just all open. I would love for them to mix it up that way. I think it's a great thing. Will they do it? I don't know, of course. Let's see. Ryan Caldwell says, dang it, I'm late. One more hour, please. I'm already getting hoarse. I usually do try to keep these down to about an hour. We'll go a little longer. So Ice Wallow mentions that he thinks it's deeper than Civ. He thinks. What was it called? Old World? It's about dynasty and not only empire building. Yeah, that's interesting. Alyssa, I know nothing about it other than like a screenshot. And I gather that it's like in the broad category of civilization type games. Okay, Louise asks a good question. Do I know if it'll have paid skins and cosmetics? So, yes, I want to confirm this. I want to make sure people are clear on what it is and what it isn't. They are offering skins for the Marvel heroes, not the Hunter. The Marvel existing heroes, you can buy separate skins for them to wear on the battle map. Now at the Abbey, there's also different outfits they wear because they're more like in street clothes or whatever you want to call it. And you can get all kinds of unlocked cosmetics just in the game for that. So by exploring the Abbey and doing that stuff, you unlock that, and none of that is for sale. But the cosmetics for the Marvel heroes on the battle map, pretty much exclusively, as far as I know, you buy them or you don't get them. Now, let me add, I personally really like most of the costumes that they have in the base game. Like, Spider-Man looks great to me, and Iron Man looks great to me, and Doctor Strange is how I want Doctor Strange to look, and so forth. So I mentioned earlier, there are a couple I'm interested in. The black Spider-Man outfit, the Marvel skin for Captain Marvel, I would be very interested in. But I want to see them. And I want to know how much they cost. So I know, and again, this is one of those things, some people are very upset that there's paid skin. Some people don't care, or whatever. Like, you can feel however you want to feel, everybody. I'm not really offended by it. Like, I don't really get why this is different than the 2 DLCs that XCOM 2 had early on, where you could buy more uniform pieces. You know, like most people didn't like Anarchy's Children because it looked like crap, not because they were philosophically offended. But anyway, yes, there are things you can buy for that. And you can pre-buy them if you want to by buying a more expensive version of the game. I don't necessarily, to me, unless you really get to see these skins and you know you love them and you know you want them, I personally wouldn't do that. Okay, Juan Graham asked if I ever played Gloomhaven, which, for those who don't know, Gloomhaven is a tabletop board game. It comes in a box. I'm not exaggerating. It's probably this tall, this deep, and this long. Like, this thing is enormous. It could be the proverbial blunt object that you killed somebody with, I think. Hopefully no one's ever done that or never will. I have not played Gloomhaven. Man, it's so popular, but I don't really have time for tabletop games anymore. Like, honestly, for me to play Gloomhaven or any other tabletop game any appreciable amount of time, I need to just stop recording for the channel. That's just kind of what it comes down to. I only have so much time after work, so I can't really do it. But I only have ever really heard pretty darn good things about Gloomhaven. Okay, so also Omerta City of Gangsters. You know what? I haven't played that. There's so many games I've never played. It's crazy. There's too many good board games that come out. Okay, so can you take any heroes on any missions, or are you limited by the story mission? Yes. Some missions, especially early on, most of the missions in the early part of the game, it's like, here, take Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel and go check this out, and so on. I had just gotten to the part where I could tell it was starting to open up. That besides the story missions, where it probably is going to tend to be a little more restricted, now they were going to offer, I don't want to call them random, but probably more procedurally generated missions where you could just say, like, hey, I want to bring Nico, Minoru, and Magic, or whoever, you know? So you'll get a mix. Also, Mystery Meat, thank you. I really appreciate the donation. Regarding the XCOM 3 point, Derek O'Neill asked, did we ever find out what's chasing the elders? No, they reference it in Enemy Unknown. They reference it in XCOM 2, and we don't know crap. So, let's see. Right, Louise, he asked, did the most expensive version come with all paid skins? That's the way it looks to me. There's 24 or something like that skins, and they're all included. So I'm reasonably sure that if you genuinely want all of the skins, this will be the cheapest way to get it. I would just again say that I would want to see those damn skins before I put my money into it. I guess the thing I'll have to decide is for the channel, right? So like, so you guys could see them. Would I want to pop for it just for that? But for my own enjoyment, I can tell you, I don't give a damn about like 80% or so of them. Okay. I think we're getting to where we're winding down here. A lot of talk about the skins, and I'm just gonna leave that, I think. So Ultra the Gunner, okay, he makes a point, which I sort of alluded to, but let's expand on it briefly. When he says it comes with 23 paid skins, but he doubts that's all of them. That's a legitimate point. So we don't really know. I have a feeling, though, that'll be all of them you can get at launch. Because I think they even say something like, you have to check the Steam page, but I thought they said something like all. And then I could see them drip feeding skins, just like I could see them drip feeding characters later. Let's see. Am I excited about the superhero Morbius movie? No. You know, I will tell you. Okay, the very first Morbius story is really boring to me, but has maybe the coolest single thing ever in a Spider-Man comic, which is like there's this whole thing where he ends up having 6 arms, like a spider, you know. I loved that. I was just fascinated with that as a kid, and I really dug that. But Morbius himself, he's always been kind of a boring character to me. And I haven't really seen anything in the trailers that made me think this was better. I don't like Jared Leto as an actor. Um, he does not impress me. And then the reviews are just so horrible. So I haven't seen it, and I probably am. Well, I'm not going to. It's not a probably. But if you listen, anybody who has seen it enjoyed it, good for you. I haven't seen it, so I don't have an opinion of if it's good or not good. Derek O'Neill asked if I tried Phoenix Point. Yes, I have. Search on my channel for Phoenix Point. I did a video about my impressions of it. Okay, Ultra the Gunna asks, and I'm only going to answer, I will cut it off. So I'm going to answer Ultra, and then I'll answer Miguel's question, and then we'll cut it off there. So Ultra asks, do you have to bring 3 characters with you all the time, or can it be 1 or 2, assuming there aren't required characters? So there was at least one mission I played where it was just the hunter and her hellhound. So there's that, but that's not really what you're asking. You're asking, hey, if it's a mission where you can bring 3, can I choose to bring 1 or 2? I'm not 100% sure because I never tried to do it. I suspect that if it's not a story mission where you're required to, I think you might be able to do it. But I'm sorry, I can't be definitive there. And then Miguel asks, do you find the combat system fun and challenging? Yes and yes. So I really enjoyed it. I think if you watch my videos, I've only done 2, so that's not too much to wade through. You'll get that pretty clearly. Even the second one where I tried to be a little bit more neutral about it, it comes through. As far as the challenge goes, so let me just say this, and acknowledging the fact that, you know, I had this really horrendous travel day, was all jet lagged. Then I didn't sleep, you know, worth a damn the night before. So I wasn't exactly in, you know, peak form when I was trying to play it. But I was constantly trying to puzzle my way through, like, okay, you know, this ability, I really think I should probably do this first and then, you know, maybe save this. But then I would always think like, oh, doggone it, you know, I should have done this environmental attack. Or I would always find something where I would think, I could have done this a better way. Part of that too was just learning the mechanisms. There were times where I tried to do something and it didn't work simply because I had never tried that before and did not understand the correct mechanism of how to get there. But I was, the whole time I was playing, I always felt like, man, I could be so much better at this, and wanted to get better. And the other thing I want to add is I was playing on normal difficulty. Oh my God, you should have seen the selection screen for difficulty levels. There's like story mode where you basically can't lose, you know, combat. And then there's normal. And then there's literally like on the first page, there's 3 or 4 higher difficulties. But there's like a little scroll bar that takes you to another whole page of difficulty levels. I don't know, like 7 or 8 or something. It's crazy how many difficulty levels you can unlock in this thing, where the enemies get more health and you get fewer revives and all this stuff. So yes, it is going to be difficult. Now, I say that, listen, everybody finds different things difficult. So one person may play it and go, this wasn't hard at all. Yeah, okay. I mean, good for you. I found it challenging. Okay, I am going to answer one more just because it is something that I find to be a really fun topic. So I'm going to break my own rule. Louise asks, do I think Moon Knight will become the 13th base hero since we fight with Venom? Oh, outside the museum with the Khonshu sign. Oh, brother, I did not notice that at all. I have no idea. I do think it's likely to be another hero from the kind of Midnight Suns shadowy part of the Marvel Universe. In that sense, Moon Knight would make sense. But I will also tell you, they pack so many little Easter eggs throughout here and references, not just to Marvel, but like the opening cutscene. There's basically a tip of the hat to Raiders of the Lost Ark in the way. Never mind. It's not important. But there's just a lot of little stuff like that in there. So that symbol may not mean anything except that somebody thought it would be cool to slip that in there. And then again, it may mean Moon Knight's coming. Um, one of the characters from the original Midnight Suns comic book event that I thought would be a really cool addition would be Hellstrom, also used to be known as the son of Satan. I think he'd be a really cool, like, not just his power set, but also he has such a kind of pain in the butt personality. That would be interesting to add him into the mix. But it could be Morbius. It could be, God, anybody. If I could pick one character, just because I like him so much, I would love to see Ben Grimm, also known as the Thing from the Fantastic Four. He and Spider-Man are probably my two favorite characters, so I would love to see that. But I don't think it will be somebody like him from the light side of things. I think it'll be from the shadowy, magic-y part of the universe. All right, everybody. I am going to go ahead and wrap it up. I thank you so much. I was nervous because, like I say, I have kind of had the sense that this game maybe wasn't something people were as interested in, but I'm not positive. I think we may have actually broken like my personal best for the number of people on a stream. Either way, I'm very, very pleased with the number of people who came. It always makes me feel good. I'm always nervous that I'm going to do one of these and like 2 people will show up and nobody will ask a question. So I am very grateful that people care enough to come and share their Saturday with me, at least a small part of it. So I'm going to leave it here and have a great day. And thank you for joining me.